I honestly don't feel like there's anything more important than this, than the simplicity of coming back to the present moment, of feeling your breath, of tuning into your senses, of being so deeply in your body, in your life, that you remember what it really means to be alive. Here, now. Let this moment be so sacred, a remembering of who you were before the world told you who you should be. I see you. I feel you. Welcome to the Freya podcast. Welcome home. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Freya podcast. Today, we are going to be focusing on the subject of taking our power back and how that has unfolded in my life. And I want to start off by explaining a little bit about my story. So if you were to take a look at me 10 years ago, you would see a completely different woman. And there is so much that I am grateful for with regards to breathwork, about my journey and about why I'm here. So much of it has to do with what I've learned throughout the power of my breath. And I want to today share on as much as possible around the core wisdom that I've gained in the 10 years of working on myself through breathwork. So when I started my awakening, let's call it that, when I started my spiritual awakening, when I started understanding that I was completely lost, that I didn't know who I was, that I needed to go back within to reconnect with myself. This started in a lifestyle where I was completely disconnected from my needs. So I was a very anxious person. 10 years ago, I had a very anxious personality. I want to give you a little bit of context, not to bring in the victim story, but just for you to understand where I was at. Because if you are experiencing this in your life, or if you're moving through something like this, just know that it's possible to take your power back and to heal from that. And if I were to have someone say that to me in that moment of my life where I thought that I was broken, where I thought that I was, just broken. I keep saying that, broken. Then that would have helped me so much. And so I started off as like a little girl stuck in a adult body who did not want to take on the responsibility of being a woman. And so I was just living the normal life of going into work, doing all the things, coming back home, Netflix, drinking a little wine, waiting for the weekend to just let loose, waiting for the next vacation to let loose even more. My world was just like really stuck in this lifestyle that I wasn't happy. I wasn't truly happy in the life that I was living. I didn't like my job. I didn't like how I felt in my own body. I didn't like the thoughts that I constantly told myself. Like I just felt like I was a prisoner to a version of myself that I didn't feel comfortable in. And that had a lot to do, because I was very anxious, with the thoughts in my head. Everything that I would say to myself, it was just these thoughts that brought me down and brought me into a very dark place. And when you're a prisoner to your thoughts, when you're a prisoner or a victim to the environment or to the people around you, and you just absorb everything because you don't understand the power that you hold within your body and your breath, everything can take you down in an instant. And so my journey started with me realizing that I was putting myself in situations that were taking me down, that weren't uplifting me, that were draining me, that were draining my light, that were draining my energy. But I would just continue going into these environments and these lifestyles because I thought that that was what life was. And I'm going to bring about just something that came up when I was walking today. And I remember when I was a child, I would ask really random questions. And in those moments, I don't think that the human beings, even if I love them with all my heart and I know that, they're beautiful human beings, I just don't think that they had the capacity to respond in a way that would uplift me. So I would ask random questions, and I have flashes of this. Like when you're really young and you don't remember much, but you remember these like flashes. These are flashes that I remember of the questions that I would ask. Now, I don't know how old I was. I just know that I was living in the United States at that time. And I would just look up at the person in front of me and I would just say, like, why do people hate their jobs? Like, why do people work and not like what they do? And they just replied, well, that's life. You have to work to earn money. That's just how life is. And I'm like, okay, but you don't like what you do? Not really. Okay, then why do you do that so often? Like, it didn't make sense to me that people would spend 30 to 60 hours, sometimes even more, in a job that they didn't even like. I was just like, huh, that's interesting. You're spending all of that time of your life in something that is just making you money in order to survive. And I was like, oh, okay. And that response stuck with me. Like that, in that moment, that person told me that that was life. And because I was young, I believed that. I was like, that's life. In my naive childlike mind, I was like, that's not life. I don't want that to be my life. I don't want that to be life. I'm happy and I want to continue being happy and I want to do something I love one day. And I was like, but in those moments when you ask those questions and you get the responses from the people that you love and you value the most in your life, then you just think it's life and you go on with your life and you think that that is how you're supposed to live. So I know this was a limiting belief in the back of my mind because when I started working, as I went to college, university. I dropped out of university because I wanted to travel and discover myself. I had this calling. I was just like, I'm going to do it. And I backed out of that when I fell in love and I stayed in Quebec. And I ended up working for a corporate job for 10 years. And that was a story that I kept telling myself is like, I don't really like this job, but that's life. Gives me a good salary, gives me good benefits, and I'm safe and I'm stable and it's a really good paying job and And I was like, that's life. I don't like what I do, but that's life. And I'll always remember the first day that I went into that job, maybe not the first day, but like the first week, there was a lady that was sitting at the desk in front of me and she's like, what are you doing here? And she knew nothing about me. But it was like, when people, I believe that life brings you people to say things in exact situations that are meant to light you up and be like, what am I doing here? But in that moment, I was so like, this is life. And I was just like, what do you mean? What am I doing here? I'm here to work. And she's like, you're not meant to be here. Like you could be so much more. And I'm like, and she said that and she knew nothing about me. She's like, you don't fit in here. And I thought that was like, that is an angel being sent from the universe telling you exactly what you need to hear. But if you're not conscious and you're not present and you don't understand what is happening in that moment, then you just continue living your life because that's life. Remember, you're not meant to like what you do. That is life. And that was a limiting belief that I had in the back of my mind. But when I look back at that moment, I still remember what she said, where she, like the way she looked at me. And it was like, wow, that was the sign that I missed 10 years ago. And it's not like I missed it. Everything that I learned in those years is what made me become who I am. But it was really beautiful to see, wow, the signs are there. It's just, are we able to catch them? Are we able to see them? Or do we continue telling ourselves, this is life and this is how it's meant to be? And this is the course that I'm supposed to take because that's what people told me that it should be. And that's what the people I love the most told me. And that's what society tells me that's the best. And I was just like, interesting. I didn't feel like I was meant to be there either, but I didn't follow that pull, because the pull of my heart was so much softer than the thoughts in my mind in that specific moment of my life. So going back to the anxious personality, I just remember being so completely disconnected from who I was. And I would do panic attacks multiple times a day. There were times where I would have to go out of my office, go to the bathroom, and just like call someone because I thought I was dying, because I couldn't breathe, because I was so stressed out. And I didn't understand what it was, because there was nothing really in my life that was like wrong. There wasn't anything like big. It was just the life that I had put myself in that was completely disconnected from who I was. And this is like little things that add up to become who you are. And then you just get so lost and you're like, who the fuck am I? Who am I? I have no idea who I am anymore. I have no idea what I love, what I want, what lights me up. Like, I just feel like I'm this zombie living a life that isn't mine. And that's the spiritual awakening. It's like when you hit that point and you find yourself in a situation like that, this is where everything gets to change in an instant. And if I knew that in the moment, if I knew that my body wasn't broken, if I knew that my mind wasn't broken, if I knew that I wasn't sick, or if I could have known someone who would have looked at me and told me, this is golden. Like, this moment of your life is going to change absolutely everything. If I had that person, I swear it would have taken probably so much less time, but everything went in divine timing. But yeah, I remember experiencing 5 to 10 panic attacks a day at a point. I was so completely stressed and anxious, lost in my mind, lost in my thoughts, couldn't sleep, couldn't regulate my emotions. I was just a ball of stress, living in survival mode, trying to figure out how I had created this life that I didn't like. And I felt ashamed because everybody looking at my life was like, you have a beautiful life. You travel, you're healthy, you're this, you're that. But the way I felt in the life that I was living changed everything. Like, I wasn't feeling safe in my body. I wasn't feeling happy. I wasn't feeling present. I just felt like I was this puppet, and I was just like, you need to do this, you need to do that, and nothing of that really vibrated in my heart. There was nothing wrong with me. It was just that I wasn't listening to myself. I didn't have the capacity yet to go within and really understand who I was. I remember also being in Hawaii and realizing I'm in paradise right now. It was the first time that I ever went to Hawaii. I was so stressed out. I was so anxious. I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, wow, I'm in paradise right now. And I'm feeling like this. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, there's something seriously wrong with me. And that's the story you tell yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get out of this? How am I ever going to feel good with myself? How am I? But this is what happens. Your internal world is what creates the external world. So if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling stress, if you're feeling anger, if you're feeling emotions that are just bubbling inside you because you have never learned how to take your power back and to move through those emotions, then no matter what is around you, everything will be tinted through the lens of fear, through the lens of anger, through the lens of stress, through the lens of whatever your internal environment that you're not willing to go within to see and to transform and to heal, that is just going to reflect itself out all around you. And so you can go to Hawaii, you can go to Australia, you can go to the most beautiful places in the world, but it will still be perceived through the lenses of your internal world. So if you're anxious, if you're stressed, if you're angry, that is the reality that you're going to see through, because that's what's blocking you, the like layers that you've put on yourself. And that's what you're seeing life through right now, the layers, the filters, because it's not who you are. Who you are is when you take all of those layers off, when you finally have the courage to go within, when you finally have the courage to breathe and see what is there, to transform these emotions like we do in breathwork, to really feel into the body, feel into the sensation, and realize that you are safe to feel this. You are safe to transform this. You are safe to think otherwise. You are safe to believe that you deserve to live a life where you love your job, or believe that you deserve to have a lover in your life that respects you and values you. All of these limiting beliefs, these filters in a period of your life where you didn't have the consciousness to be able to decide, or the discernment to decide, is this really, do I really want to believe this? Do I really want this to become a part of me? Like, do I want to believe that this is my reality? We don't have that discernment when we're 7 years old, when we're 5 years old, when we're 12, when we're 13. We don't have it as much as we do now. But now, when you start going within, when I started going within 10 years ago, I realized, oh my gosh, were there piles and piles and layers of protection that I had put on myself, on my true self, on my heart, that I needed to like unravel in order to really reconnect with who I am. And that's why I love the phrase in the Freya podcast of who you were before the world told you who you should be. Because who were you before the world told you who you should be? Who were you before your dad, your mom, your boyfriend, your friends, your teacher, your work? Who were you before the world told you who you should be? Because there are a bunch of things that we slap onto ourselves because we think that that's life, and that's not who we are, and that's not what we believe. And the reason that that is life is because so many people have not had the courage to look within, to feel those emotions. And that's why I had so many emotions in me, because there were so many things that I was just doing because I thought that I needed to do it, and that wasn't me. So when my body started screaming 10 years ago, and I was just in anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, eczema, all the things that were just manifesting in my body, because my body was like, dude, are you going to listen to me? Because you haven't been listening to me for far too long. And if you continue not listening to me, I'm going to continue screaming louder and louder and louder until you do. And then I was like, in that moment, that was the gift. That was the aha moment of, okay, what do I do? And that's when everything started. And that's why I'm here today. And that's in that moment when life gave me breath work. I didn't go looking for it, trust me. It was probably like a situation like you today, where you're watching something and you don't really know why you're watching this, but you're just attracted to it. And that was exactly what happened to me. I was just like, oh, I could try this. I saw this thing and it just popped up in my life, and I went there. And exactly then, that was the moment that I needed. That was the tool. That was the coach. That was the person, the method that I needed to learn in order to take my power back. Because that's the thing with breath work and anything I hope that you do in life. It's like we go out there looking for something that's going to fix us. because we don't realize all the power that we hold within ourselves. And that's why breath work is something that I have continued to practice and that I will continue to practice my whole life. It's because that power is me. It's here. It's in my body. It's in my breath. No one can take that away from us. And when we're living in a fear-based mentality, we're running around in our lives thinking, oh my gosh, I need to do this, or I need to protect myself. But we have it all wrong, because we don't need that. We need to fully take back our power. We need to see ourselves for who we are and tap into that confidence, into that light, into that love in a way that will dictate our choices, so that when someone else arrives in our lives and says, that's not possible, you can't do that, or you're not, like, no. If it's here, it's who I am, and it's possible, you know? So our power is what is hiding underneath the fears, the emotions, the layers that you put on yourself over the years, because you didn't have the capacity to discern that that wasn't you in that moment. And when we have the courage to start peeling off those layers and start tapping back into our power, our uniqueness, our gifts, this is when your life completely changes, because your gifts are unique to you. And my gifts won't be the same as your gifts. Your gifts won't be the same as your parents' gifts. And it's like we go about living our lives in a way where we have to fit in this, to not say prison, but this like prison mentality of like, oh, this is what I need to do in order to be successful, in order to be loved, in order to be this, in order to be that. And it's like, that's their model. That's the model they decided to adapt to or to become. And is it the good model or the bad model? Does it even matter? Like, it's their model. Is that what you want? Is that the model you want in your life? Is that what you want to create? Because there's no good or bad. It's just like what resonates with you. It's as simple as that. Does this light me up? Does this make me happy? Does this make me become a more expansive, beautiful version of myself? Like that's you. But then if you're going into the I need to be this way in order to succeed, that's when you lose yourself. So your gifts and your power are often the things that you knew you had, that you felt within yourself, but that's at some moment in your life, someone told you that doesn't make sense, or just invalidated what you felt was true for you. Those are your gifts. That is your power. And there may be so many different gifts and like so much uniqueness and beauty in that power. But it's like there was a moment in your life where you didn't know that what you were saying or what you were believing was irrational or too much, or that you were too sensitive, or that you were too naive, or all of that. And I'm saying this because I felt that, there was a moment in my life where I believed everything was possible. And I was like, that was me being a child. And I remember, we would watch beautiful movies and just be like, oh my gosh, I can be whoever I want to be in this life. And it's like, I have all these dreams and like, I want to be a princess. And it's like, okay, it's maybe a little bit irrational, obviously, but the beauty of believing that you can be whatever it is that you want to be, that childlike energy, that should never be taken away from us, because that is the reality. It's like, if you are a victim to all the things that you've been slapped on you from an early age, all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the patterns, all the things that weren't you, and that you became that because you thought you had to become that, because that is life. And that's when you become a victim to a life that you don't want to be a part of. But when you wake up and you realize, fuck, I'm not who I want to be. This is not me. I'm not happy. And sometimes those are those rock bottom moments when you think, I'm never going to come out of this life. Those days where you have 9 to 10 panic attacks in a day and you're sitting on a beach in Hawaii and you're like, oh my God, I am so fucking broken. Or when you wake up and you're just, that can be like addiction, depression, whatever it is that makes you hit rock bottom. In those moments, you have so much power because you realize, oh my God, I am so misaligned. I am so unhappy. I'm so not who I am meant to be. And those moments, as hard as they are actually a blessing, because sometimes it takes us to see rock bottom or to feel rock bottom in order to go back up. Because if we hadn't touched rock bottom, we would just kind of stay in that comfort zone of, oh, everything's kind of okay. So I'm just going to continue kind of living this life that I'm not really a fan of, but that I'm, well, that's life. So thank those rock bottom moments for showing you exactly who you aren't in order to become exactly who you want to be, because we are the creators of our life. It's so possible and it's so yummy and it's so beautiful when you finally understand that you're not meant to keep those layers, those filters, those limiting thoughts and beliefs that you adopted from someone else. You can just let those go and you can reconnect to who you are in your heart and take your power back in that moment. So here's my practical tip for you, and for anyone who's going through a moment where they feel disconnected, instead of asking yourself or telling yourself, oh my gosh, there must be something really, really wrong with me, ask yourself, what is this showing me? How is this showing me what I need to see in order to become all that I am? And that's something that came through me while I was walking that I wrote down. That's why I'm looking, because it's like, if I could have believed in that moment that I wasn't sick, that I was just confused, that I was just so misaligned, that I was just so not who I am, like so disconnected from who I truly am, there would have been like 10 years would have happened, maybe like, I don't know, time is irrelevant, but it would just have been like, you know? So this is showing me what I need to see, what I need to make conscious so I can become all that I am. When you hit those moments of, oh, what is this trying to show me? And sometimes that can be hard to see by ourselves. This is why I had so many beautiful human beings that I was attracted to in my journey of like, okay, I want you to show me where to go so I can reconnect to that part of myself, because that's what happens, when you're awakening, you're noticing things in people that are lighting you up and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this about her, or I love this. I want to learn about this. And it's not like you need it. It's like, this is just calling you. And you need to trust that, because sometimes there are moments in our lives where we need support, and that's totally okay. It's like, she believes that I can heal from my anxious thought patterns, from my stress, from my dysregulated nervous system. She believes that I can become the person that I've always dreamed of becoming. She believes that. Therefore, I'm going to jump into her energy and we're going to co-create this version of myself together, because she already believes in me. And the fact that she believes in me is going to take me to where I want to go even faster, because that's how it happens. It's like the light is just shining your light and you're just more light together. And it's not like you're taking something away from me or you're trying to become me. It's like, I'm just here to show you where to reconnect to you in order to find those answers within your body and your breath. And these are your tools. This is for you. This is not me. So my wish is for you guys to find people who are able to take you back to your power, because that is the most important thing in this life, is like when you start understanding how powerful you are as a human being, my gosh, does life become different. Yeah, it becomes so different. And life starts being less like, that's life, and more like, wow, this is my life. And I say this and like emotions come up because I'm like, never would I have thought that today I would be saying that and speaking here and sharing all that I'm sharing, because it's been a process and it's such a beautiful process. And we were never meant to do that alone. We were never meant to go through our shadows and our excitement and all the emotions that make us human. We weren't meant to do this alone. We were meant to do this as a collective. And so if you're feeling inspired to be mentored, to be coached, to tap into your power through breath work, reach out to me. There are so many ways that we can work together, and it would be an honor for me to mentor you in any way that you feel would help you get to where you want to go in your life. So yeah, it would be an honor for me to guide you through that, because I believe in you so much that it becomes contagious. Yeah, it becomes contagious. And I think believing in ourselves should be like something we like pick up like a virus, you know, like, I caught this through Joanie Roy. I caught believing in myself when I was in her energy. Oh my gosh. Like, instead of being so fucking scared of COVID with our masks and stuff, like, could we just not be like, okay, I'm going to go around her and I'm going to catch her virus. And her virus is like believing in myself. And wow, isn't that amazing? And it's like, yeah, I'm going to give out that virus to all the human beings that want to be in my energy. Like, come on, come catch this beautiful virus that I caught. And let's all catch it together, and let's all spread this humans as possible, so we can all be contaminated by this beautiful virus is taking our power back as humans. And yeah, like, that's it. Come catch the virus, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I love you guys. You're so powerful. You're so beautiful. You can do anything that you want. You are the creators of your life. And if you're finding yourself in a victim mentality that is bringing you down into your shadows, you just have to tell yourself, this is not who I am. Because if this is who I am, then this would feel good. Then this would feel comfortable. Then this would be me. And I wouldn't even notice it, you know, like this would be so natural that it would just feel like me, but it's not. So if you're in a period where it's harder, just tell yourself, this isn't me. This isn't me. This is just showing me what I need to see in order to become who I am. And then follow the light. Follow what lights you up, whether that's a human, an environment, a practice, a tool, whatever it is. Just follow what lights you up and trust that your heart is calling you towards exactly where you need to go in order to reconnect to who you are. But make sure that you choose paths that guide you back within yourself, because that's the only way. That's the only way to reconnect with who you are, is by going inwards. All right. Have a beautiful day, everyone. I love you. Bye.